What's going by Webster Style here with my girl Ren for another Ren's Playtime Corner. Ren, how you doing? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Good to hear you. Now, there's been a lot going on in the crazy world of the internet. And I always say the crazy world of the internet because, as you and I both said all the time, these are not things that we deal with from real life. So it's
Right.
strictly on the internet.
Absolutely. Right.
And we have been treated to similar, how could I put, not necessarily similar preferences from of our elder uh, black celebrities. First with Tracy Ellis Ross on Michelle Obama's podcast, and the clip that's going around talks about how she only dates younger men because men her age, they have that toxic masculinity. I'll get
Mm-hmm.
to that because I'm sure we both have opinions on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then uh, probably one thing we've all been talking about, because I think to some degree none of us can really understand it.
Right.
Shannon Sharpe, Shannon Sharpe was 54, uh, being sued for SA by a former lover whom he started dating when she was 19. Um, I'm gonna put this out there, Brendan. This is my first issue with that when it came up, and I am never like, oh, she just lying. I'm never like that.
Mm-hmm.
However, considering based on the allegations that were reported, all of these things happened within the past 2 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard it was a civil case and she was going for 50 million, and there have been no criminal charges
Right.
filed, um, the first thing I said, why is she a Jane Doe? I didn't understand why rape shield laws.
Yeah. First, she did Jane Doe, and then now everybody knows who she is. So I was
Yeah,
like,
well, that's because they did digging. But the lawsuit, it was she was a Jane Doe. Why did
mm-hmm.
those laws, those shield laws, shield her in a civil case? That is something I've never understood. If it's a civil case, how can I put it
Right.
this way? I am not saying this to demean anyone, so I hope my words aren't misconstrued. When most of
Mm-hmm.
us think of somebody being a victim of something, they're a victim of a crime,
Mm-hmm.
and there are legal proceedings they're in place. It's hard for me to see somebody as a victim if no one has been charged for with a crime. This man has never been, and to this day, they've never been in criminal charges. She went straight to the pockets.
Right.
So for me, I have a hard time seeing anyone as a victim when there's no crime that's been committed. Excuse me. There have been no allegations of a crime in the criminal justice system. It's not like they went through, they had a case, and he was found to be not guilty beyond a, because there was no reasonable doubt. But
Mm-hmm.
these things never happen. So I find it hard calling someone a victim in this case. So right there for me, and again, I'm not saying, and being a man is hard to say this because I know how certain people hear this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going with the logic of it. You say this man did XYZ to you, yet instead of filing criminal charges, you have filed a $50 million lawsuit.
Right.
All at this around that was filed and put out around the same time where he was going to be signing $100 million contract with his employer.
Mm-hmm.
That
ESPN.
seems
Is
fishy. And then also you were trying to get a settlement on it beforehand. As a man, I'll get from a man. It is very hard to see a woman in that circumstance just from that. And I ain't get to the other things that I have issues with.
mm-hmm.
And to be sympathetic to say that, hey, something did happen. I'm not saying something didn't happen, but the course of events that happened, also, the man that she has representing her does not have the greatest track record either.
Right.
Um,
You try to. It's named Busby.
yes,
You try to go after Jay-Z as well,
right.
and
In
Jay-Z
that case,
won.
got so many holes poked through it. I wasn't trying to give the man his due by saying his name, honestly.
Mhm.
But in this case, I just feel like there are
Too many holes in the pocket. I
Yeah,
get it.
it's too many holes that just it looks a certain way. And I think that when you have things like this, and we'll get to the age part, but I
Mhm.
think when you have circumstances like this, I don't think that this, as far as our public discourse and public court of public opinion is concerned, I don't think this is sort of thing is advantageous to women who actually experience these sort of events in their lives.
Right.
Because it unfortunately we aren't a monolith, but there's some things, whether it is by gender or whether it's by race, there's certain attributes, certain things that are kind of cast upon all of us.
Mhm.
As far as people think certain ways, certain stereotypes, I'll say. This does not cast a very good sort of perception um, on women who actually go through sort of things, in my opinion. So,
Absolutely.
what do you think?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this.
Okay.
So the first of the facts is he was 54 and she was 19 when he started entertaining this relationship.
Right.
Now, some people want to be debating online. It wasn't really a relationship, it was just sexual. Even if it was a sexual relationship, it still was a relationship because it was consistent.
Right.
Now, if it was just a one night stand situation, then it is what it is. But for 2 years, that's some sort of relationship,
Exactly. I
regardless
agree.
of a sexual relationship. So let's just put it like that. Shannon Sharpe is now 56. This happened 2 years ago.
Hmm.
But what she's claiming, and then even that, it's like, why are you waiting now to get the settlement?
Right.
And now let me play devil's advocate. From what the text message is saying, from what the video is saying, she claiming that they was having sexual intercourse and he eventually started putting it in her butt. Now I'm gonna be blunt. It was some anal play being presented. And she recorded saying, "Why did you put it in my butt? I told you to put on a condom. Regardless of our relationship, you should at least respect me enough to put on a condom." Girl, okay, let me play devil's advocate. If I'm having sex with you and I say, don't put it in my butt, please respect, I said, don't put it in my butt. Now, to her, she felt disrespected. But then the next day, she was like, Daddy, I love you being rough with me. I love you taking control. Like, so you didn't like it, you say one day, but then the next day, you say you like it. So it's only sexual assault. If I say no, you do something. But then if I come back and want to do it again, then it's just me experimenting. If I never had anal sex before, you gave me anal sex without me knowing, or just sprung it on me, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that. That makes me feel uncomfortable. But then the next day, I'm like, let's try that again. Isn't that consensual? Like I didn't like it, but maybe I'll try it again. It might be a different experience. Like I was confused through the text messages. Then I'm hearing this. Then I'm hearing she's like, "Put a black baby in me." This woman is white. Shannon Sharpe is maybe 6'2", black man. Um, messing with a 19-year-old at the time. And yes, that's consensual age. Yeah, it's not a flex because you set yourself up for this, Shannon. That's just my opinion. You set yourself up. You wanted to play in the snow. You got frostbite for one, but that's not even for the point. I don't care if it was a black girl, black power, 19 years old. Boy, what are you doing? What is you doing here? Um, I asked this question at work because that's where I get most of my adult conversations in. There's a man that's 62 and he said he messing with a 25-year-old. So what do you think? You think that's a nice age to start dealing with somebody?
I'll say this. I've had this conversation, and I've a friend of mine. He's it's about your age, so we talk. Um, and he's a single guy, so kind of comes to me like advice, perspective, blah 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 blah. So we were talking, and I was one of the things I say to him is there is a there's a point where you see body, and then there's a point where you see that she's still a little girl.
Mhm.
And for 99.9% of us, we see body, we realize little girl, "Ooh." Like that is a place where you do not tread. And it's funny, like we were having this conversation maybe one day, a couple months ago before all this, and I was in the store, and I'm like,
Mm.
I'm talking, and I'm walking out, and I see these young ladies walking in, and again from across the store, you see bodies. Like, okay, all right, cool, nice looking young ladies. As I'm walking closer, it's like, oh, they're like
Right.
15. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's like, oh, they're like little girls. Like once you see them, you see everything, and I'm just like, so I'm looking at this, and I am 46. I will be 47. Uh, there are very few. Like I couldn't imagine. Excuse me. I couldn't imagine dating a 19-year-old. Okay,
Me either. That's
and but I said this to my friend. Okay, and going back to your old man coworker dating 25-year-old. If I'm 65 and I have the chance with a 19-year-old,
mm,
most of us are not going to pass up the opportunity because one, I'm 65. When am I getting this opportunity?
right.
Again, first of all, so again, that's normal people though. We're not talking about normal people. We're talking about people who have high profile, who have stature, who have access to lots
There's
of
no
different women.
difference.
No, no, no,
There's
no,
like
no. In this case, it is because
okay.
he is someone who, by the way our society works, and again, I don't know his life, but he has access to different types of women.
He do.
He does not have to worry about getting, in theory, getting the type of woman that he wants to,
Mhm.
in this case, fornicate with.
Mm.
So that's not a flex in the regard of say that 65-year-old pulling 25-year-old. Like that's a flex for him because he's a
It
regular Joe
is,
Schmo, blue
absolutely.
collar, and I'm assuming
Absolutely.
I'm assuming like his girlfriend, whatever, is reasonably attractive. Now, if she's not, then it's not that much of a flex. But that's a flex for a dude because like you're not supposed to pull that. You're not
Absolutely.
supposed to pull for that. Shannon Sharpe, nah, he
Shannon
li-
Sharpe should know better
he
though.
shouldn't. You're
Like
right. He got set up. This
he
is
do
the thing.
interviews with people that's been in situations like that. He's been in the football like area
Yeah, you think
where
you
I'm
think you would
sure
know
people
better.
that exploited him.
And
But Shaq, he's around the same age and he dating somebody young too. So I guess he felt like, oh,
but
if
the
Shaq.
younger girl ain't white either.
So what does that mean? Let's talk about that part. Because some people online is like, she white if it was a black woman, yada yada yada. So what is the difference y'all see here?
I think that it's not even it's the optics. It is the perception of a rich black man then being involved with Caucasian women, that status that they people perceive they're going to get. I don't know, as a perception. But also I think because of the text messages, because of the things that have come out, you question why why are you going through this. And yeah, it's wrong that you're attributing that to her race. I don't think it's not I don't think it's right to. But as black people, when I put it straight, black people, black men, we have a history of negative consequences of being involved with Caucasian women,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have status and wealth. We
Mm-hmm.
just saw the things that happened to Jonathan Majors over the past couple of years.
Right.
And while the circumstances is different, I think most of us would bet money that if that woman was not Caucasian, that those things, and again, I'm not saying what he did or didn't do was right or wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm simply there's a optics there. And that goes into people's perceptions of the situation. And I firmly believe that if that woman was a if something happened between him and Megan Good, I
Mhm.
guarantee you that the again without the previous baggage, but I guarantee you the conversation would have been different. It would not have been in that way. And also, I do not think that he would have been played as such a
A
monster the way
villain.
he was.
Mhm.
Um, and I think he got played that way because of the contrast of who he
Mm.
was against or with. I don't think, and that's again, that's
Well,
historical.
what? Because I get it. Because it's like P Diddy, he dealt with different types of racism,
Right,
so it's hard to pinpoint one race.
right.
And I really don't hear much of a story of besides R. Kelly, but it took
But
years
even
for
then,
R. Kelly's situation to even be exposed.
but I say this though, we saw them and even Diddy. I don't think anybody really believed anything until that tape came out, and we were all horrified at it.
Yeah, with
Even
casting.
with R. Kelly, yeah, even with R. Kelly, honestly don't like. We think they're monsters in the
Mm.
context of like something's wrong with them, but and I'm going my personal opinion in what we have all discussed. I don't think any of us see them as evil. If that makes sense.
No, I get it because people what people do in their bedroom can be weird to other people.
Yes.
Um, so if he got away with this behavior for a long time,
Yeah.
people repeat bad behavior. It's just in our DNA. If I keep drinking and drinking and drinking, nobody stopping me from drinking. I'm always going to be drinking, even though it's bad for me. Um, no one's telling me no.
Right.
So I know it's bad, but because I do it on a consistent basis, it's just a habit. We all have bad habits. So no one probably told him like what you're doing is wrong. So when something actually got put out there exposed, yeah, what you did was wrong. And
Yeah.
he even tried to take, of course, he's going to take offense to it. Even with Shannon Sharpe situation, when people was questioning him, like, what made you do this? What is your story? What is your side? He played the defense mode. Like, what? Why are you coming to me? Like, what? Like, dude, we just trying to get information.
But
It's
I
already out there.
but I understand that though, and this is the thing I go back to. For he's not charged with anything criminally, and I think
But
that's one of the biggest difference.
it's still
No, no,
weird.
it is. Look, look, look. I agree. I, from a personal perspective, even seeing the young women, um, I don't know his type. I don't know what he likes. I don't see how you push up on her at the gym, knowing how many women probably in the gym probably look bad as I don't know what.
And it's probably the same age as you, Shannon Sharp.
Well,
All the women you
well,
go to
well, not
the
even
white
that.
woman.
Look, how did my boy put it? And again, I don't know this young woman. I'm not disrespecting her in this regard, but my boy was like, she's like maybe at Orlando 5 or Oklahoma 7. Like she wasn't and isn't based on the pictures the baddest girl you can pull
Right.
to go through all this. And I'm sorry. Um, I've always been told if you're gonna deal with a Caucasian woman, she better be bad if you think about bringing home to your mama. You can't bring
Mm,
home some average run of the mill Caucasian woman to your black mama, straight up.
okay.
So I think a lot of us, if we're going to go outside those lines, we have very high standards of what sort of woman we want to deal with from a looks department.
Mm,
So I say that so when we have these conversations amongst ourselves, and then we see this young woman and we see Shannon Sharp, and we're like, really, Unc? That's the best you could do? And
mm.
then you pulled her, and then you're going through all this headache. It's like, yo, you did this to
Yeah, you did
yourself.
all
Like you,
that fast. Let's get that out there, man. Y'all need to control y'all penis a little bit more because he just ruined his whole career. Now he might be able to get a sex tape deal. If
but,
she wins this case, the best thing he can do is be a porn star on OnlyFans
but let me
because
ask you a
or
question.
just make up his own podcast. Maybe.
Let me ask you a question. This is the thing. It wasn't about controlling it, it's about who he chose. Because this is my one of my biggest issue with this conversation and with everything that's come out. so much of this is, look, this is a 2-year relationship.
Yeah.
It is very hard for me to believe the narrative, just as a man who's been in relationships with women. It is
Mm-hmm.
very hard for me to believe this narrative that is trying to be spun. That,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you were this and that. You kept going back. You
Exactly.
invited him over. Like, if
Exactly.
if this
So
is the way you felt, cut ties, move
it
on. Now, if he starts stalking you, if you start showing up at your place, that's a different conversation. But you were in many parts a willing participant in this circle, and you benefited financially based on what
and
some of the
she
things.
it sounded like she tried to send him up because
Yeah.
and first of all, why are you recording the voice messages for one?
Yep.
Um, and then she's like, I don't want to be choked. And he's like, well, you don't have no choice. Well, I don't want to be choked. So I'm gonna talk to you later. It's like, first of all, I would be annoyed. Like Shannon Sharpe is just ignore. Like I'm annoyed that he's so
Mhm.
stupid to deal with this foolishness. Like he was doing good. Now this is why Monique and why Cat Williams,
Yep. They both called him out
why
to his
she
face.
warned you
Yep.
because it was because you thought it was a joke. This white woman can destroy your whole career in 2 business days. You
And
allowed this
hey,
white woman,
that's what's happening.
you allowed this Disney don't play that.
Mm-mm.
And he stepped down from the position because it's like it's too much going on. Like nobody even gonna focus on the show if you even continue the show because people gonna start asking you questions. And now I
Exactly.
know you didn't want to be asking no questions on live.
Mhm.
So you had to step down and wait for this court proceeding to go. And it takes a long time for these court proceedings to continue. So now what you gonna do, Shannon? You let this 22-year-old woman destroy your all your career just because you wanted to gloat like I got me a 19-year-old. Like, come on. And no, yes, it sounded all consensual. Maybe someday she was going back and forth with it with that emotion. Like we all sometimes been there. Like, I
Yes, we
don't
have.
maybe I shouldn't do this, but let me give it another try. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Like we've been back and forth with it. But still, Shannon Sharpe lined it up for her. He should know better.
Mhm.
It's his fault, regardless of what this girl is doing. It's still his fault.
And either way, she's gonna get paid.
In some way, yeah.
No,
Because
no,
it just looks wrong.
no, no. She's gonna get. This is the thing. There's no way he's gonna want to make this go away,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't
He tried
blame
to pay
him.
her $10,000.
Yep.
He
Yeah, he's
tried.
gonna. Well, they offered 10 mil, I think, and that was
Mm-hmm.
leaked by her attorney after the fact. So
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna pay, and that's the sad part. He has to pay for her just filing court papers and saying whatever. With
Mm-hmm.
again, I have an issue with cases like this when there are no criminal charges.
I
There's
know.
never been a criminal proceeding
And
because
if you put two to two together, it just sounds like a setup. You
yeah,
know, because it's like if you felt like that, like first they were saying like he was in I don't know, Vegas, and
yeah,
she followed him to Vegas. So if you
exactly,
felt so scared for your life, why did you
exactly,
follow him to Vegas?
exactly.
So it's like, dude, but it's still his fault. It's still his fault regardless. He put himself in this dumbass situation.
I agree. Let me ask you a question though, as a woman, and this is a question that comes up in these sort of situations with men. Excuse me, questions we have. We hear from women all the time about how grown they are, how mature they are, um, how much more advanced that they are than men. And then you have a situation like this, and you talk about how, oh, the frontal lobe's not
Develop
developed.
until
There are
25.
always excuses
Mhm.
for her being a younger woman. Again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I feel like when things like this happen, the narrative is flipped. It's like I hear both ways. Women can't be so smart, intelligent, capable, and mature more so than men. Yet, oh, he's grooming because he's dealing with a 19-year-old. Oh, she didn't know any better because she's 19. You can't have it both ways. It either
Well,
is
let
or
me
it isn't.
explain. Let me break it down to you.
Okay, thank you.
Women are more mature based on it's our nature to protect y'all in different ways than how men protect y'all. Like if we know like you eating a poison apple, we're gonna protect you from eating a poison apple. But you a man because you're just picking up the apple because you're just hungry and you don't think like, oh, this might be bad for me. So we help you in other ways as in our instincts. Like we try like well, Sinners is an example of the black woman protecting her man.
Yep, Annie.
So yeah, he's trying to cornbread said, let me come in. And she's like, why you gotta bring your big ass in here? Like you been coming in here on the other side. Now you gotta ask permission. And you see how was it smoke? Just standing there thinking, like, that makes sense. So, but they around the same age. Now, if I'm 19 and I'm dating somebody else that's 19, I'm going to be more mature mentally because we're around the same age. The difference of it is when she's 19, her experiences are not even there yet. He's been through life, married, kids, dealt with maybe 100 women. Now, she was OnlyFans mom. I'm like, you 19 and OnlyFans mom? You even didn't try to get college to try? Like, what the hell is that? You went right out of high school to OnlyFans? But anyway, her life experience might be different. By her conversations that I heard online, she didn't know nothing about nothing. So the conversations, like when he was talking to her, she felt like belittled. Even in her mind, she felt like belittled, like you're manipulating me. Like, huh? Like he's just like, it is what it is. What does that even mean? Because she hasn't experienced shit. You talking to a child, he knew exactly what he was doing. He thought it was just gonna be fun. And I don't think it was manipulation. It's just a big age gap. He's more experienced and done things throughout his life, and she's just starting her life. So that's just what it is. It's like I'm trying to tell you, you have like you 19. Now I don't know how her upbringing goes, but most 19-year-olds probably don't even know how to do a car note, the process of a car note, or the change. You got to change your oil every 200 miles, or you got to fix your tires when it's like doing this. Most 19-year-olds probably don't even know that unless somebody teaches them and tell them that. And honestly, nobody guided this woman in the first place because she would not even be dealing with somebody 54 years old. If somebody even taught her anything, she wouldn't be an OnlyFans model right out of fucking high school. If anybody taught her anything, she could have, like, you couldn't even go to college, a trade school, worked at McDonald's. You couldn't have done nothing.
Right.
You go straight to porn.
They want the easy money though, so
that's just the perspective of it. Now, she not no hopeless little girl. She took advantage of that man. Okay, if even was a both advantage exchange, because he was just using her for sex, she was just using him for money. Regardless, neither of them are innocent.
I agree.
That is my opinion. Neither one of them are innocent in this situation. It was a setup. Maybe it was consensual fun in the beginning, but eventually she was like, let me get my bag. He must have said something, did something that pissed her the fuck off. And now it's like, oh, now I want $50 million. Like,
yeah.
Crazy.
I just think that, thank you for that explanation, first and foremost. And I don't disagree with you. And we both know people in our lives, and I'm sure you've talked to men who are, not saying talk to in that way, but just talk to men who are like 10, 15 years younger than you. And while optics may be good, you have a conversation, you're like, yo, they don't know nothing. Or there are definitely knowledge gaps based on the experience you had. And I've had the same thing, just a friends and one I know that are, I'm like 17, 18, 20 years younger than me. Like there's a definite knowledge gap there because I've just experienced more things. I've been through more things compared to they have. And with for me personally, if I was in that situation, I was like, dating you, like serious relationship wise, like that probably won't work just because of sometimes there are some people that I know that I've met that even though they're drastically younger, they're mature, they experience and knowledge they have is just like it rivals people I know my age sometimes. But that's not most of the time the case. So for me, I'm just like, it would be a physical relationship. Like I couldn't see anything more than that. I couldn't see anything more than that. I couldn't see being with you long term because they're just at least initially. Again, I'm not dating anybody, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
if I'm looking at it that way, there would definitely be questions I would have for a long term relationship with that person because of not necessarily the age gap, the experience gap.
Right.
And I will be honest and realistic, like, okay, yes, we'll probably run this course. It would be just for fun. We both get what we need out of it, blah, 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 but move on. And that seems like what happened with Shannon's situation. But this individual was like, oh, I'm gonna get my come up um with everything. And because of who he is, and also I go back to the Caucasian woman factor. I want to say race factor. Because if it was she was Asian, she was Latina, she was black, I don't think you would have the same sort of connotation because he's a big black man. Like
Mm-hmm.
there are so many historical connotations and stereotype in this scenario
No,
that
I get it.
are
The media,
ingrained in us.
the media is definitely milking this because she is
Yeah,
a Caucasian
yeah.
woman. Because, like you said, it would have been news coverage, but not to this magnitude of news coverage.
Let's be real. If this was Cat Williams,
Mm.
I don't think it would be the same because again, he doesn't fit the stereotype of this big hulking Mandingo black man. Shannon Sharpe, like he
Yes.
fits that. Again, this is like this, they fit that narrative. She's this little
Mhm.
diminutive white woman, and he's this big, strong, hulking. Like the whole fantasy narrative is
Right.
playing out right there. So I
And
think that
he should know better because it's
he
always
should
about
have.
perception. He should know better.
He
But
really should have.
so we can segue to Tracy Ellis Ross
Yes.
then, to because people feel like, well, Tracy can do it. But first of all, Tracy is 52, I believe,
Hmm.
currently. She says she liked dating younger. Now, I don't remember her specifying younger. Um, but let's say she said 25, right? Um, you think a 25-year-old, I mean, I would say a boy, but let's say a 25-year-old man is going to be taken advantage of from a 52-year-old woman. It's about perspective. Because some men be sexually assaulted, but if you say as a man, I was sexually assaulted, they would be like,
Oh,
really?
that's exactly what look, conversation my man and I had that they would never believe you. But also I think this way, in that situation, that 25-year-old knows exactly what he's there for. There is no there is no question about I'm here for arm candy, I'm here for warm beds, I might
Mm-hmm.
get spoiled a little bit, but this is my role. I
Mm.
don't think that any 25-year-old dating someone like a Tracy Ellis Ross would get any sort of delusions that, oh, this is going to be a long-term relationship. This is going to be all right. I'm being honest with you. I
No.
don't think that most 25 men would come into a situation thinking
I
that would
don't
be
believe it
anything more.
either, but it's not impossible.
No,
So
it's not.
let's use that as an open door window. It's not, I wouldn't believe it. Like, oh, you was taken advantage of from Tracy Ellis Ross, really. But if he proved like, oh, she just, one day I just walked in and she just handcuffed me to the bed and started whipping me with some whips and chains, and I didn't like it. Okay, but you went back.
No
So,
one would care.
but it still was like, did you go back? Is the
Right.
thing.
You went back.
Now, if you left that night, never spoke to her again, made a police report, then okay. But if
Key
you
part.
went back,
Made the police report.
mhm,
Hmm.
then if you went back the next day, even the next week, then what is the actual conversation here? Now it is syndromes.
Right.
There are captive syndromes that some people because they just used to this person, they built a relationship, a bond with this person, regardless of what is going on, they still want to go back to their character. It's I don't know the actual syndrome of it name, but I know it's a, look it up.
Like Stockholm syndrome, something like that.
Yeah, Stockholm
Yeah,
syndrome, something like that. So yeah, it's hard, just like with the Cassidy case, because they use the same scenario. You kept going back though.
well, I,
You kept doing this, you kept doing that. But yeah, I felt uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable. I was he was powerful. He was this, he was that. So so what we going to do with the situation? Because woman, this 19 year, well, 22 now, woman is saying the same thing. She felt manipulated. She felt this. She felt that. So how are we going to take this situation? Yeah, Shannon Sharpe probably going to lose some money. He definitely going to lose some money. But that's his fault for setting himself up like that.
right. This is the thing about the whole cast situation. I've always found drastically different, and I understood why. This man controlled every aspect of her life.
Yes.
She made the misfortune of becoming involved with her boss.
Mm.
And so it wasn't just an emotional thing. All aspects of her life were directly tied to him. So that's an extraordinary amount of control that's exerted over you that is not the same as a Shannon Sharp perceive or what's being said. It's not the same thing. So
Because
when
this
I
girl
heard that,
became.
I never said, why did you keep going back? Because honestly, she didn't have much of a choice
Mm,
in her to my understanding of a situation. So that's
right.
why I say that I always think that's different. But even with Tracy Ellis Ross, first of all, no one would believe, still to this day believes a man can be assaulted by a woman.
Overpowered. By,
Hell, they halfway believe men can be assaulted by other men. Let's be
mm,
for real, for real. And they tend to forget that our responses are many times autonomic, meaning we don't have control over those responses. So there's an assumption because there's a response to a stimuli that we enjoyed it, that we wanted it, and that's not the case at all. Um, for instance, if a man is assaulted by another man and they are penetrated,
mm,
that man can achieve an orgasm if the prostate is stimulated. Did they want it to happen? Did they consent to it? No. But the body is the body.
mm.
Um, but someone would say, "Oh, well, you liked it. This happened. It wasn't this. Blah 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 blah." Or if a woman, you're sleeping when someone breaks into my house, or some woman touches me inappropriately, and my body responded to it. It responded to a stimuli. That does not mean I wanted it or invited it. And I think because of that, and things, the perception again, I'm not a lawyer. I haven't been in criminal cases, so I don't know what goes on in courts. But I know as far as public perception is concerned, most people don't believe that these things can happen to men because of that. So I'll say that. But with Tracy Ellis Ross, the whole aspect of her dating younger men, uh, her comments about men her age have a toxic masculinity.
Masculine. Mhm.
That part right there is what stuck with me from the context of I thought it was complete and utter BS. And let me
Mhm.
explain to you why.
Okay.
Um, and the way she described it was they were traditional. They were looking for things to be a certain way in a relationship. I'm like, that's not toxic. That means that you don't want a traditional relationship.
Right.
And men in that age bracket are looking for that. You
Mhm.
are, and then I said too, why are we listening to Tracy Ellis Ross? She is not the, and again,
Has
this is
she
no
ever been
disrespect,
married? She
huh?
had to be married before.
I don't know. But this is, listen to me for a second. She is not the typical woman. First of all, she is the daughter of Diana Ross.
I know, right?
How, and again, I'm not that sure about Diana Ross's marriage history and her relationship history, but she grew up with a boss babe, quote unquote, as a woman, as a mom who
Mhm.
has had multiple marriages and linked to whatever
Mhm.
back in the day, right? So she
Mhm.
already has that example. And then
Right.
she's a successful woman by herself. Okay.
Mhm.
Why would she want a traditional sort of man? She's
Right.
not a traditional woman, and
Right.
that's fine. But to ascribe those traits as being masculine, I mean, excuse me, toxic,
Toxic.
that's why I had an issue because it when we have these conversations in these discourse, anything that women, I'm not saying all women, but when these conversations are had, it's like, oh, that's toxic, or this, or that. It's like, no, that's not just a relationship you want. I think most women, if she when she laid out like what there was, I think there were a lot more women that said, "Oh, that's not," they
Right.
wouldn't necessarily think that's toxic, but then they influence because this
But
woman.
it is older traditional type of relationship. Like anybody older dating anybody younger
Right.
is for fun. Like let's just be
Yeah.
real. Like
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
about having a good time, regardless if it's just sexual or I
Extremely
can go.
younger. I'll
Or
put it
yes,
that way.
like if I am in my early 30s and if I'm dating even somebody 25, I already know what it is. Like I
See, I
please
think,
come
well,
over
I,
and just
you know what? I think for you, I think yes, that would be. I think it was I'm in my 30s, and I'm dating someone in my. If I was, like, okay, let's say I was dating, right? I'm 47, 46. I think I could date somebody 30.
you can.
Yeah. I think that if I'm looking at the mid-20s, I don't I think that's for fun only. I'm not saying it's not possible because there are some really beautiful, intelligent women out there who I'm sure would surprise me if I was in that world. But I think 30 and above is a realistic sort of what they say Malcolm X, what half your age plus 7? um
But it's also about maturity
so
because
30 would be half my age plus 7. I'm 46 now. Well, yeah,
yes,
about yeah.
but it's also about maturity too. Like
Yes, it is.
I try to tell like some of my coworkers, like, I just need to be able to have a conversation with you. I
Exactly.
don't want to hear you talking about no Ice Spice. And if I make a Goonies reference, I don't need you to be like, what is
Yeah, if you
that?
don't know what that is, you gotta go. Sorry.
If I say the like I remember Ariel being white, I don't like she was white. I don't need you to say that to me because I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to leave right now.
That's not even immaturity. That's a where have you been and who. No, we
Right.
can't hang. We can't even hang. Nah. You don't
Listen,
know nothing.
because some the kids got TikTok now, they got YouTube, they got 100 other things to watch. We had to watch VHS. Whatever was on that
Mhm.
TV is what we was watching.
Mhm.
And when we was
Mhm.
looking at the TV guide, we had to wait until it goes all
Mhm.
the way back around until we like, okay, The Simpsons gonna be on at 7:30 tonight. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, we if we can't even have those conversations. Like I remember when chips used to be 25 cents. If we
Right.
can't even have those
Penny
conversations,
candy.
yeah, if we can't even have those conversations, because you're gonna make me feel 20 years older. Because then they're like, oh shoot, I'm dealing with a baby.
Exactly. So yeah, that really does, like, that's a conversation that needs to be had. And we see people like Madonna, like Cher, who are like Cher is dating somebody like 40 years her juniors.
Mhm.
Actually, is it 40 or 50 years? I don't even know. But
Yeah.
same thing with Madonna. It's like I see that much like I see the Shannon Sharpe and 19-year-old. While they can do whatever they want, they're grown. I just
Mm.
think, okay, that's just gross. Um,
Yeah.
it's
Because
just
I'm like, how does that even feel? Like, but no, Cher
I
look
ain't go there.
good. Madonna looks kind of crazy, but Cher still looks good though. But I think the men knows their
Yeah,
position in the
exactly. The
space.
same point.
So,
You know that they know their position. They're not going into this
right.
looking at I'm going to be married to Cher or Madonna. They're looking
You
at
know how rich they are?
exactly.
Like, excuse me.
They're looking at I'll be in-house penis. She's
Exactly.
gonna buy me some nice things. She's gonna have a nice young thing on her arm at red carpets and whatnot. If she wants me to be there, if not, I'll be a kept man in the house. I maybe get some seed money to do some
When
of my ventures and grow my business.
yo, when I see Madonna with this man, I think she like the man's like Amber Rose baby daddy. So he don't even talk. He don't even talk. When the media comes and talks and interviews Cher, he just stands there smiling, holding her hand, and just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. How was your day? Oh, it's fine. Yeah, yeah. Like he don't even say nothing. Like,
He ain't the star, and he knows that.
listen,
Look,
man.
he knows his time is limited. You know what? No, I think that's a really good point. I think those men know their time's limited. They're there for a certain amount of time, and then that's going to be it. I think in the case of, and this is my opinion, the Shannon Sharpe situation, she's mad because her time is up. She thought
Yeah,
the train was continue to
yeah,
keep going, and now that it's not, it's like, oh, I want to get mine. Imagine, Madonna breaking up with her boyfriend, and all of a sudden, a $50 million lawsuit is filed for, and he starts airing out her dirty laundry.
right.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't stick. Imagine how we would look at him.
It won't even stick. The media is probably gonna not
But
even pay attention to that,
yeah, but
even
we
if
would
he
look at
did.
him, and we would not look at him in the same way. We were like,
Right.
"Did we really?"
Yeah.
We were like, "Yo, you kept going back. You kept hitting that, and now
Hmm.
you saying, oh, she did this, she did that, and you trying to get
Right.
it come like you would look like a punk."
Right.
So why isn't the same thing ascribed to this young woman in this situation? She didn't file any criminal charges. She, by what they say, has released edited information to frame Shannon in a certain light. She clearly had a consensual relationship for 2 years, one that she continued to actively be a part of, not that he coerced her, actively was a part of
Hmm.
by her own admission. Why are we not looking at her in a certain kind of way? That is,
I listen. She's mad because from what I'm hearing is y'all heard. Well, the Shannon Sharpe sex video voice thing that happened a couple months ago when somebody linked him saying, "Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he was like on
Michelle."
live or something like that. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he accidentally went on Instagram
yeah,
Live, was it?
accidentally.
And like all this time now, all of a sudden your phone just anyway,
Yeah,
because it takes processes
it
to
does. It does.
anyway. So we let's not question it, but she got upset because she found out he was sleeping with somebody else through the media. But he's like, well, yeah, you're not my main girl. So he was doing her dirty, and now she just want her payback. That's all it is. Like, oh, so I'm just asked to you. Yeah, we've been fucking for 2 years. Yes, you just asked to me. Oh, you're right. $50 million.
You know what?
Thank you.
We always come back to this point. This is why you have communication. This is why you
Mm,
talk to one another. This is why you don't make assumptions about your relationship until you have definite facts.
right.
Because look, we could all see that and clearly say that she wasn't the only one. Why would
Mm-hmm.
she have been the only one? Hell,
Mm-hmm.
especially hearing the text messages that have been hearing the text and voice messages. There is nothing about that that says this was a loving relationship.
Right.
Nothing whatsoever. This was, we like to get down together.
Yes.
We
Yes.
role play. You are fulfilling your fantasy, and me as Shannon I'm fulfilling my fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It was
that's what
never,
it
how
was.
was your day? It never even sounded like, how was your day, dear? It never even
Exactly.
sounded like that.
That was
It's
and
like,
this
I'm gonna choke you, I'm gonna spank you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm just like, damn, Shane, like, damn.
and let me be real though. And let's be realistic. Considering there was monetary transactions involved in whatever way, shape, or form, right? What did she really do to have him to be loyal to just her?
Nothing.
Exactly. However, his funding, whatever, that buys loyalty, at least perception thereof. Now, I don't know what conversation was had. I don't know what she does on her OnlyFans. I have no idea. I know not
Right.
everybody does. I know not everybody busts is open on their OnlyFans or does anything
Mm-hmm.
hardcore. So I don't make any assumptions about that. I've interviewed too many people to know that. But that right there, someone would be loyal to that. somebody would not want to or not entertain other, but of course with her, why would she entertain someone else when she's dealing with Shannon Sharpe?
Mhm.
It's
I
like
mean,
there's no incentive for her to deal with someone else. So, and I can understand her being exclusive by default because why would she not? She gets, in some ways, she gets no benefit by not being exclusive to him.
okay.
On the flip side, what benefit does he have being exclusive to her?
Well,
She's this
let
hot
me
little.
say, from a woman's perspective,
Uh-huh.
women majority of time we don't look for sex, regardless if we do agree. If I'm me and you talking and we just agree for a sexual relationship, my body automatically is going to make me reject any other man because I'm sleeping with you. So it's not saying there's not plenty of women that say they don't, and let me say, they say they don't care, but in their actions say that they care a little bit too much.
Okay.
Now that can go back both ways too. But people think sex is just sex, but it is a tie because I'm sure if Shannon Sharpe heard that she slept with somebody else, I'm sure he'd be mad and upset. Now she didn't
Because
need
he
to.
But that's because he probably expected a degree of loyalty based on what he was contributing to the relationship. And I will say this, and I will only add this caveat to you. Um, I feel like your statement, at least for me, was hard to accept considering some of the people we know and things that they do.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I don't know
But
about that.
are
I
men
don't know
still
about that.
but are men still territorial?
Yes, they are. They to me,
Okay.
they can be. I'm not saying he isn't. And that's another reason why I feel like it's a lot more realistic for her to feel like she's loyal to him than
Mhm.
vice versa. Even especially when there's no conversation, man. And I doubt there was a real conversation that was had based on what we know. Again, a lot of things we don't know, but based on what we know, you get a general sense of the relationship. You get a general sense of the conversation, and what everybody was about. I would not expect him to be exclusive to that girl. I would
But
not at all expect him.
it's regardless of if you slutted me out yesterday, regardless of the situation, we all still want respect. And from what the videos and the voice messages and the text messages was perceiving is Shannon Sharpe didn't respect her. And why would he? He's
Exactly. That's my point. I was about to say why there's
But in
nothing to
her
respect.
mind, eventually the disrespect got to the level of now I want money. It
And
was
I get that.
consensual. It was consensual. She was enjoying parts of the situation as well, but he kept being disrespectful. Regardless if this is a sexual relationship, regardless if you ran a train on me yesterday, I'm still sleeping with just you and doing what you asking me to do. Out of whatever the situation is, out of respect, out of loyalty, regardless, I'm respecting you, but you keep disrespecting me. So I really do believe it was just a situation that she's bitter and mad, and this is what's happening. But
Yep.
still, she's not a prostitute. She's an OnlyFans model. And you mess with her for 2 years. Even if she was a prostitute, that's too much consistency for a prostitute.
I
So
agree.
eventually feelings get
Yeah, I
involved.
agree. I
So
agree. 2 years is a long time to have somebody up in your guts and not get feelings. For real, for real.
right.
That that's a long time.
Yes.
And I don't care. I don't care how liberated you say you are as a
Mhm.
woman. If you're dealing with one person consistently for the point of 2 years, I ain't talking about you love, but I am talking about I look. If you ain't have no attachment, no feelings, no nothing, I don't believe you because you
Mm.
keep going back for a reason.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
So it's okay. Some people can't process it,
yeah,
but we human guys. Like it's okay to like somebody, to love somebody. Like I'll be having a conversation with one of my friends today. He's like, I don't like you talking to other men. You're not together. I could talk to whoever I feel like it. But it makes me mad. But you right, you not my property. Okay, but you are my property. Okay. So feelings still get involved regardless of what they say. They like, I don't like you. Okay. Then I move on.
Let
Why
me
are
ask you a
you
question. Is he your property?
No, he's not my property.
You know what I mean? You know what question I'm asking?
Go ahead.
Is it
Ask the question.
yours?
No, it's not.
Okay. All
It's
right. You know
I'm
what I'm talking about, right?
yes,
Okay. All
I'll
right.
be rational with it. I just have
I
that doesn't
appreciate
mean I
that.
don't have feelings. Now let me be clear. That doesn't mean I don't get jealous and don't have feelings, but it has
Mhm.
to be worth me being jealous and have feelings for it. If I don't
I like
see
that.
if I don't see like it's going anywhere serious and I don't see it really being anything serious, then I don't care what you do. But if I see, oh, we actually have connection, chemistry, good conversation, good this, good that, then okay, I might feel some type of way. But again, if it's not really mine, and let me say this clearly, regardless, man, woman, whatever, you don't have rights to anybody body if you do not claim. It's
Hmm.
that simple. Okay. Back in the day, marriage was claimed them. Now people want to be in the waters with it, go back and forth with it, go all the way around with it. But if you still have feelings, if this person makes you jealous, you like the person, and that's okay, by the way.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I agree. But in all of this, I think with Tracy's situation, I think that having that perspective on masculinity, she
Mm-hmm.
is not going to um, find a partner if that's what a mate if that's what she wants. I think that personally, and
And
it's
she
funny,
wants it.
huh?
She wants it. She said it in the
Yeah,
interview that she
and
wants it.
I think she's not, and it's funny because there's a clip from Kevin Samuels that's been playing, and where he said exactly that like 3-4 years ago, or however
Well,
long it's been.
as a woman, let me break down from what I got from the clip. Because
Okay.
let me say it's a clip. We don't know
Yeah.
what she said
Yeah.
too much
Exactly.
after. But yeah, from what she was telling me, she sounded a little delusional. She don't have no children. She longs for a connection and intimacy. That's what she said. She longs for a relationship, but she don't want to be controlled. And like you said, her mom was Diana Ross. This woman traveled the world, known and sung with Michael Jackson. This Tracy Ellis Ross probably seen so much fabulousness in her childhood and so much freedom of different people's relationships that she just got older and she just wanted to be probably by herself to focus on her career,
Hmm.
which is fine. That's what most successful women do. But you have to realize at some point that we all getting old. Now, I don't want to say she don't have no hope, but she has to change her mindset to
Yeah,
have that hope.
I would
What
agree.
she's asking for is not realistic. Because if you mess with a 25-year-old, what can that 25-year-old provide for you? Unless it's the Kardashian, how he gonna take care of you? And most women want to be protected and provided for. So to her, in her mind, she says she dealt with a bunch of millionaires that saw her as a prize. And yes, they are going to see you as a
Yeah,
prize
and I
because,
don't see why that's a bad thing.
because to her, she wants freedom. She wants to be seen as an equal. That's her problem.
And yeah, that's a problem, and that's because you harped on something. You brought up control, right? And I do
Mhm.
remember that from the clip. This is, and again, this is me as a man. Okay, when I hear conversations about control, and then the examples that are given, I'm just like, nobody is, and I'm getting a little drastic. Nobody's knocking you upside the wall, telling you can't do this, you can't have a job, you can't have this, you can't do this. It's called I'm your partner. I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving you my input about something. If I don't think this is the right way to handle things, then I'm going to tell you so. And when I hear conversations, that's what they call as control. Like, oh, maybe is an appropriate thing for you to wear to dysfunctional wear out. Like, I hear those things, that constructive criticism that, hey, I'm your partner and I'm trying to keep you safe. And that's what a lot of that is. It's about, hey, as a man, I see things going XYZ. Maybe you should wear that, or maybe this isn't a course of action in a situation. But when you hear the conversation is, oh, he's trying to control me. He's trying to manipulate me. If he says that you get together, y'all, you say you have a baby, whatnot, he's like, oh, I want to go to the club, this and that. Like, well, maybe you shouldn't be going to club all the time like you used to.
Mm-hmm.
Things change. Those are the things I hear women talking about. And again, I'm not saying that's the only things. And I know there are a lot more egregious examples that really are border control. But when I hear these conversations, those are sort of things they're talking about. As a man, I'm like, that's not control. That's I'm being proactive and being protective. And
Yes.
how can you be protected and want somebody to protect you if you don't give them the charge and the
Right.
power to protect you? Which means you have to give them some degree of power. And we talked about this before. That's what that's what submission is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear a conversation like that, it's she doesn't want to be submissive in any way, shape, or form in a relationship. And any of the men that she's attracted to that would be equal yoked, she would have to be submissive to.
Right.
And that's as she sees that as being controlled. And I'm like, submission is all about
She's
trust.
been single for a very, very, very
Yeah.
long time. So for me, all women are submissive if you are the right guy she wants to listen to. That's my opinion. Because there's plenty of men that I don't listen to at all. But when I met the right man, just listened because it's like what he said made sense. What he's doing is protecting me. I have seen men be good boyfriends, be good potential husbands. So if this is what I want, then why wouldn't I listen to you? Why are we together if we not listen to each other? If I
Right.
don't see you as my leader, what are you here for? I don't want to be the leader. I want us to both lead in certain ways. But that doesn't mean like submission is both ways. If you both are equally yoked, y'all going to work in tandem. It's no power control of anything. I listen to you, you listen to me. We both respect each other. We both care about each other. We both know where we both going, what we our goals are, what we trying to do here. Like it's so dumb. Like being submissive is not a bad thing, guys. People hear submission and they just think like, oh, I'm a slave and this thing. It's not a bad thing. Most of the majority of the time, y'all being submissive and y'all don't even know it. So because these words be triggering people, y'all need to realize y'all doing things that y'all don't even notice that y'all doing. And with Tracy Ellis Ross, she just need to. She must have a lot of yes men because she's Tracy Ellis Ross. That's telling her, "Oh, you right, girl. Yeah, fuck these niggas, fuck these men. Date that young man. Go do this, do." Knowing she's gonna be close to 60, then close to 70. So what is it that you really want here? You messing with a 25-year-old. It just like if she is, because she never really specified. But let's say she's in her 50s, messing with a 25-year-old. That man mentally cannot be yoking her. But because he's young, and she's so old, like I don't know she be tired like around 9 o'clock. Like I know she just be like so for even that doesn't even make sense. But maybe she just like, okay, I can go past 9:15. And I just want you to keep up with me.
Yeah. I feel
But
this way about it too. I again, from my perception and what she said, she just wants to be in charge,
yeah.
and she doesn't want anybody to go against her. In
Maybe
some
challenge
respects,
her.
huh?
Maybe challenge her.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if the men, if she's talking about old fashioned men, An old-fashioned man be like, we going to this restaurant. I'll pick you up around 8 o'clock, 8:30. And then after that, we can do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And she probably like, well, I don't want to go to that restaurant. I want to do this instead. And he's like, but I'm taking you out on a date. Um, shouldn't I pick the date of where we going and what we doing? Because that's what old-fashioned men
Yeah.
used to do. So to her, she probably like, I don't like to be told what to do. She never even had a child. So
Right.
obviously she likes her freedom to do what she wants.
Right.
So that's just how she sees it. Of course, a 25-year-old is not going to challenge that.
Nah.
Because like you said, he wants the cheeks too. And he wants to have fun as well. So
Yeah, I'll say this, and I think a lot of it comes down to having a mutual respect for each other. And I'll say
mhm,
this, like you and I aren't dating anything like that. But I think we had a conversation, we sitting there, we talking some real life stuff. And like we were in a situation and I said, hey, Ren, I don't think you should do this. Or
mhm,
this isn't like I really don't think it's the right call for you. You shouldn't go out here. You shouldn't do that. I think personally you would take heed of what I said. One, because there's a mutual respect there. And I
right,
wouldn't say that unless I meant it.
right.
So, and I say, like, I don't think you would see that as being controlling. It's like, okay, like I
No,
listen to what he says, a little something, something, you got a little age on him, but also like I'm gonna come at you straight in many
right,
respects.
right.
But with the whole Trace Ellis Ross thing, I feel sad because she says what she wants, but
Mm,
based on what she says, she's not putting herself in a situation to get that, whether it's whom she's dating or there isn't a stock of, okay, this is what I want, this is what I'm not getting. What's going on here? What perspective am I having that is hindering me from getting this? Because I
right,
think that for everyone, there comes a point in time, even you and I have had conversations. We both have these sort of internal retrospectives about ourselves. Okay, what do I need to change to get what I want?
right.
Because I'm not perfect. There are things I need to work on. There are things I need to do and grow as an individual. What do I need to change and grow? Not just change, like you say change, people think, oh, you're changing to get this person. No, you're changing to grow as a person, to be that person who will attract who you want. It's not
Yeah,
about being fake, it's about growing and growth and maturing.
right.
And I think now that if I was in the open dating market, who I am and who I've grown to become, um, whom I would attract would be a lot different than, say, if I was in the open dating market even 5, 6 years ago, because I've had to re-examine myself in my life. I've had
Mm,
to look inward and grow. I've had to figure things out and not just fix my things for myself, for my relationship or whatnot, but I mean, but for me, because I'm like, okay, there are things that became apparent. That, okay, I need to grow in me
mm,
and make those changes. And so many people, when they have these conversations, don't think about it in that aspect. You're not changing for that relationship. You're changing to grow within yourself. And then by extension, that's going to put you in a better position to attract that person. Like, for instance, she talks about she doesn't want a traditional man. She wants to date a younger person. We assume that, okay, she wants to be the one that's in power. So
mm.
I can assume she's looking at a relationship as far as someone's in charge, someone's moving the pieces across the chessboard.
Now she says this now, but then she says she wants a serious relationship. So
Exactly. Those
you
things don't fit.
contradicting. Yes, she's
Yeah.
contradicting herself. She don't need Michelle Obama. She needs an actual therapist
Right.
that is going to tell her what you want and what you're doing are two different things. Because you really, I don't think she even believes, but maybe she do, she don't. I don't know the level of her delusion, but a 25-year-old is not going to do nothing for no 54 2-year-old woman.
I
Especially a
agree.
woman that like Tracy Ellis Ross, who's been around the world, done everything possible. She knows damn well this 25-year-old is just for fun. And like she said, I don't want an older man because maybe in her mind, she thinks it's going to slow her down.
And maybe
Maybe.
that's what it is too. And that's something that I don't get either. And um with the conversations, and I've heard from single female friends, they talk about their friends, sorry, them, like not wanting to get married or a man slowing them down and this and that, and or the context of I don't want to have to take care of a man, I already got a kid. And I'm like, one, what man are you dealing with where you have that perception? But
Right.
two, why do you feel like you can't grow and be free within the context of a relationship slash marriage?
She
I've
probably hasn't
never,
found a man that could do that for her yet.
but it's not even, is it they can do that, or her own perception of that? Because this is one of the things that I see, and it's one thing I've learned. Um, a lot of that mindset is more perception than actual
It is.
reality.
It
And
is.
that's what I tend to have a problem with. Something they're thinking, why don't you have an honest conversation with your spouse? This is what you want to do. This is what I want to do. Blah, 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 blah. You make decisions from there. If you want to do something or make a move and then they're actively stunting you, then okay, yeah, I understand you feeling that way. But if you just feel that way, so you never act on it, you never have a conversation, whose fault is that?
All right.
So when I hear these conversations, and I hear necessarily told to me directly, but when I hear like offhand, like, and I have a friend of mine, and she's single, used to work with, we know each other 12 years. So I get a whole lot of different, she tells me all the crazy stuff her friends have done and things and decisions they made. But that is something I've heard that has been expressed to her by and she's about your age, so she's in your age group,
Okay.
that's been expressed to her by multiple friends when it comes to being in a relationship, that lack of freedom, that not being able to go, and it's even people in a relationship, like when married women have said they're like, oh, I'm not growing with him, blah 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 blah, I feel stunted, blah 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 blah, and all this man is doing is going to work, taking care of his family, and then raising his
Yeah.
kid.
So
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, and I hear that, and I'm like, nobody's stopping you from doing anything. It is literally all in your head, um, because you never had a conversation about what you want to do. And I have told you things about over here. So you doggone well know that I've never stopped anybody from doing anything they wanted to do.
Right.
Because that's what you do when you support someone, when you're with someone, when that's your spouse. You support them, you're there for them, you
But some
champion them.
people are scared. They scared to have these conversations because they feel in their head, if you come to me and we've been married for, let's say, 20 years, and then all of a sudden you just come to me, I think I want a threesome. Now in 20 years we never had a threesome. So now you want to just spring on you just want a
I
threesome?
think that's a little bit different.
No, because it's still like something that's changed. Because like if this woman was married to her husband and she just been a good housewife for a long period of time, but in the back of her head, she's like, I want to go to Canada. I want to bungee jump. I want to do this. I want to do that. And
Yes,
she's not telling her husband, these are the thrills that I need in order to keep this relationship alive. And she not having these conversations. And he just be like, no, then what is she supposed to do then?
right.
This is
I
what she
understand
really
that.
wants to do.
Yeah.
And he just
I
said no, flat out.
Yeah, I think the three-way thing, I think that's stretching only because that's when you started getting sex, and like that's a whole nother can of worms. But the examples you made, like, oh, I want to go back to school or this or that, like these are like, yeah, if they're like no, blah blah, like then yeah, that's a problem.
Mhm.
That's a problem. That's not being supported. That's not even okay. You won't go back to school. Okay, look, money's kind of tight right now, but how about this? How about we see what we can do? You know, what do you want to do? Okay, take a couple courses community college, we see how it goes. That's something we can pay for. And then, or even, you do that and then we can, 2 years or whatnot, then we can transfer over to a 4 year so you can finish out your degree.
But
You
if
should
she
be in,
still if she still waited those 2 years and still he says no, then
yeah,
what?
that's a problem. And that is when, if those things happen, I understand, oh, I can't grow, I'm being held back, I'm being controlled. I
Mm-hmm.
understand if those things are said from that person's mouth, because okay, I can see that. I can totally understand that. Like you're in a relationship, you want to do these things. This person is essentially holding the purse strings or holding what you can and cannot do.
Okay.
Um, so I get that. I get that totally, but I don't know about you. When I hear these conversations, that's not what I hear when it comes to controlling. That's not what I hear when it comes to I want to
Yeah,
be
but
free.
it's always perception. Like it's not controlling. But if this woman really, really wants to do something, because I've been in situations like that, like, oh, just wait 2 years and we can like figure this out, because finances is messed up right now. We need both incomes, especially now with tariffs
Mhm,
and taxes and all. There's a lot of people that can't do what they want to do because they just trying to survive.
mhm,
But if this person is really hung low, like I need to spread my wings, especially when they're young, especially when they're 19 years old and have not done nothing in their whole entire life to pursue anything besides OnlyFans. Eventually, people grow up and grow out of certain things, and then it's like, now I want to do this, now I want to do that. But you chose to get married young, you chose that this is going to be your life,
mhm,
and now you have to adjust certain things that somebody probably was consistent to your regular routine. If I pick up the kids and you drop them off, we pick up the kids and drop them off, pick up the kids, drop them off, then all of a sudden I'm like, how about you pick up and drop off? Like, wait, uh my schedule don't do X, Y, and Z because I made my schedule around this situation. Well, now I feel like I need to do this, so change it. Now some people are really particular in their routine that they just be like, nah. So now what? Like, people got to realize people change their mind. People changed how they feel, how they think every once in a while. So you just gotta understand it. It's nothing controlling, just people change their mind eventually. One
mhm.
thing is going to be good, next thing is going to be bad. It just depends.
Right. I feel you. I feel you. But I think with all of that, even with Shannon Sharpe, with Tracy Ellis Ross, and I love the fact that all of our conversations kind of end in this way. It
Mhm.
really comes back to communication.
Right.
Having open and honest communication, and honest, and also both people being on the same page in their relationship. Because clear with the Shannon Sharpe thing, one person wasn't on the same page um, when it comes to that, and clearly there wasn't communication that needed to be had. Maybe there was a lot of
or
communication,
or
but
they was on the same page at one point in particular
yes,
time, and then somebody changed their mind. So that's also a thing. People change their mind. You got to understand that, because she was with it until she wasn't.
I this is where I have a problem with. Okay, change your mind is fine when you leave the relationship.
Mm,
You leave the relationship. You can't retroact. This is okay. One of my issues when it comes to talking about consent. I don't see logically how you can withdraw consent after you've already given it and done the deed.
I
That
agree.
that conversation baffles me because
Well, because now I still love you. I still want you, but now I need you to be on my time and what I want to do and what I want to change. And that's the whole thing. She was with it until she found out she wasn't the only one, for one.
that's
And
fine.
two, when she was like, well, now I don't like this, I don't like that. Can you change it? And he's like, why would I change it? You allowed me to do it 5 days ago. Now you telling me this all this time. Now you want me to do something different? No.
And then you leave. You don't
Exactly.
continue. You
Exactly.
leave. And that's
Exactly.
where my issue comes into play. If it played out that way and she still stayed and entertained things, then that's nobody's fault but her own.
Right.
You don't get to say, "Oh no, but I didn't mean to. Oh no, it's assault." Nah, you should have left. You didn't want to
Right.
get down that way. The door was right there. And
Absolutely.
from everything that's been said, um, there have not been any mentions of any sort of physical violence,
Mm-hmm.
any sort of like physical intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
We brought up Jonathan Majors, much like that sort of situation, and the things they tried to say that some things just weren't true. None of that's come up in conversation. So based on even what she said, she could have left and been shown
She
the
could
door.
have.
And
She
yeah,
she could have left at any given point in time. He was just paying her, so it's not like they lived together. She
yeah,
could have been like, "All
exactly,
right, dude, take your money back, or thank you for the last payment, but I'm out."
exactly,
It was no controlling situation. But
exactly.
again, he set himself up, and now I'm gonna end it with that.
Yep. All right. Well, Ren, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can follow me on Instagram with Silly_Weaver, and of course, you can follow me on Webster Styles YouTube. Thank
Right.
you, Webster. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ren. Always. You guys check out Ren. Make sure you check out. If you didn't get all that, you'll see that at the closing credits here. Website. You know where to find me everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. That is website. Website.com. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your listening ear. Remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
Webster Style with me.
What anime are you going to be watching?